Okay, I'm back. Guys, I'm really sorry. The stream seems to be dropping, and then when I restart it in OBS, it seems to be starting again. I don't know why that's happening. I'm a newbie at the streaming thing. I don't know a lot about Twitch, so I can't tell you what the cause is. Mike says yes. I think that means yes, I'm back. So hopefully those of you watching live will get some benefit out of it. I don't think it's going to make a good video for people to watch afterwards unless I edit and stick the pieces together somehow. Okay, let's see, sheet to sheet. I'm going to click sheet to sheet in the building blocks. It's going to offer me some options. I almost always use this top one, which is green, green. I'm going to drag that and drop it on the loop segments, and it folded it up for me. And you can see the hydrogen bonds between the sheets. The Foldit developers made the ideal loops for sheet. They made most of them such that you'll get your hydrogen bonds right away. There's a few of them that you don't get the hydrogen bonds right away. Not sure why. Okay, and I want to change these loops again because they're green. I don't want to leave them at isoleucine. I'm going to change the first one to asparagine. I don't know how to say it, which is this one, N, and I'm going to change the second one to glycine. So I'll click on mutate and choose glycine. Okay, my next loop is sheet to helix. It's going to be 3 residues long based on my sketch. And for sheet to helix, 99% of the time I use green, blue, blue. So I'm going to grab that one, drop it on there. And I'm going to change those amino acids to GPD, which is the same as I did for the green, blue, red. So click mutate, choose glycine, click mutate, choose proline. And I'm selecting them here in the blueprint window. I could select them by clicking on them in the protein, and then you would see them light up in the blueprint window. You can select individual segments either way. Okay, I'm going to click on the third one, hit mutate, and choose aspartate D. There we go. So I use GPD for the green, blue, red. I also use GPD for the green, blue, blue. Those are nice starting values. They probably won't stay that way, but it's a good start. Okay, then I've got my helix. My helix right now is all I. Again, I doesn't like helix. So I'm going to select the helix, select one end, use shift-click to select the rest of it, hit mutate, and choose leucine. Okay, and I've just got one loop to go. Mike says I'm back. That's good. I don't know why it's going up and down. It's crazy. Okay, my last loop is going to be helix to sheet. Click on that in the blueprint block, or in the building blocks. And for this one, I decided I was going to use a 2 residue loop. You can see here in blueprint, it's just 2 long. And the one I'm planning for that is the green blue. So on the first one, I used green, blue, red. On the second one, I used green, blue. And again, that's why my helix is 17 long instead of being 15 long. Okay, this looks like a mess, but it's going to be okay. We're going to sort it out. I'm going to change the green one to glycine. Select it, hit mutate, choose glycine. And the second one in a green-blue faces sideways to where it's going to be in the core. It's also potentially going to crash against the loop next to it. So that might end up being an issue, but isoleucine is a common amino acid for this loop, for this position, so I'm actually going to leave that at I. Okay, and then my sheet is I's. Okay. I'm going to switch. Let's see, I can get rid of the building blocks. I'm done with those. I'm going to leave the blueprint open for now, and I'm going to switch the color of this. I usually work in hydro color. By the way, if your view menu is not this big, you can turn on the advanced GUI. How do you do that? You go to menu, Options, and there's a checkbox for Advanced GUI, and it'll give you a bunch more options in your view menu if you don't have that turned on yet. I encourage you to turn it on. Okay, color is up here in the top right, and I'm going to go to rainbow, because the rainbow tells me what order the things are. The blue is the beginning of the protein, teal comes next, yellowish green is next, going into orange, and then red is the end of the protein. So when they're all jumbled up like this, the rainbow helps me see what order things are in and what I need to move. Okay, I think the first thing I want to do is move this red sheet so that it can attach to this yellow-green sheet. In order to do that, let's see. So if you think about the loop as a hinge, I kind of want to rotate the red sheet. I want to rotate this end of it clockwise, like over to here. And then it'll be going straight up and down. So how would I rotate it clockwise? I'm going to use one or more of these residues up here as my hinge, and I'm going to bend that residue by dragging its dot in the Rama map. So right now I have this one selected, and its dot has lit up in the Rama map. So there's a lot of black dots. There's one white dot. It's way up here at the top. It says here in the corner, it's isoleucine 58. Let's tab over that. 58 isoleucine. So the one that's selected is the one that's white. And I just use trial and error to try and rotate. I'm not convinced that that one is going to work. I think I'm going to start with this one. This is the glycine. It's in the green area. Okay, the green area has grown to be a quarter of the map, which it's not really supposed to be. That's a glitch. But I know that that area is normally green. Okay, so I'm going to try and find a direction to drag that dot that causes the red sheet to rotate a little bit clockwise. And I don't know which direction is right. I just start trying things. Okay, down is not right. Left makes it worse. Right makes it better. So we'll keep going, and I just go a little bit at a time. Okay. Maybe a little bit further. I don't want to go too far because the real green area, which I only can see in my imagination, sorry about that, is right in here. If I go way over here, I'll be outside the green area. But Foldit will also adjust. Oh, look at that. I got a hydrogen bond. So happy. I wonder if it's the one I want. It's not the one I want, because I want this side chain to line up with that side chain. Okay, so it's an undesirable hydrogen bond. Another thing that I notice, this thing is sticking way out towards the helix. I want to bring this top part of the sheet in line with its neighbor. And in order to do that, I want to use a hinge down here and rotate this helix counterclockwise. So I've got 3 amino acids to choose from to be my hinge. I'm going to look for one that's kind of perpendicular to the screen. Sadly, I'm not seeing one like that. I guess we'll try the proline to start with. Okay, so I click on the proline to highlight it. That highlights the dot over here. It says it's residue number 38, proline 38. Okay, so I'm going to drag that again. I don't know which way. Just going to try something. Okay, right is not better. Up. Up's a little better. Looks like it's coming out towards me. Left makes it go back. So up and left, and up and left. Seems to be kind of what I want. Let me look at it from a different angle. And now I want it to go kind of counterclockwise around this hinge. Can I do that with the one I have selected? I don't know. Down and left. Okay, these are getting close now. So maybe, so this is, I'm going to turn off these side chains for a moment. Shift D hides the side chains. Okay, I want this to line up with this. Okay, so these guys are in a pretty good position, but the sheet is kind of twisted and it's too close down here. So I want to move this end of it a little bit counterclockwise using a hinge up here. I'm going to try this one as a hinge because part of it is perpendicular to the screen. The whole thing isn't, but half of it is. Okay, which one is that? 57 glycine. And it's here. Oh, that's the one I messed with before. Okay. Left is worse. Right is better. Okay. So I still have a twist problem here. How could I twist this? I could look for a residue that points in the direction of the axis I want to twist around, which is vertical. So I could use this one. I could potentially use that one. I'm going to try this one. Which one is it? 59 isoleucine. I'm going to try and move the Ramadat so that this whole sheet twists a little bit kind of to the right so that it's more lined up with those. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, that's not better. Okay, it's twisting a little bit, but it's also moving away. There we go. So I was going down to twist, that made it move away, and I moved left, and that brought it close again. So a little more left. Ooh, hydrogen bonds. I love that. They appeared. It's like magic. Okay, I'm happy with that. The other thing I might want to correct, this blue helix is, we've got a crash down here, a clash. And it's also pretty far away from the sheet. I'm going to want it to get closer so that it hides the side chains on the sheet. Let's go ahead and try to correct that somewhat. So if I want to, let's turn it this way. Okay. I want to move the helix a little bit clockwise around a hinge right here. So I'm going to try this one. Which one is that? 20, aspartate. And it's down here in the red. Let's see if I can move that helix a little bit clockwise so it's not crashing into its neighbor. That's not better. That's worse. That's better. There we go. So I'm pulling it down, the dot for number 20. I'm pulling it down. Okay. Maybe a little bit more. Don't want to go too far. Okay, so that has helped with the clashing here. And then I wonder if I can get it closer to the sheet. In order to do that, looking at it from this angle, I would have to turn it a little bit clockwise. Okay, so to move it clockwise, I'm looking for a segment that has at least part of it perpendicular to the screen. This one that I'm looking at does have part of it that's almost perpendicular, but I was just using that to fix something. I don't want to mess with that anymore. I'm going to try this one over here. This is number 18, glycine. It's in the green. So let's see if I can rotate that blue helix a little bit. That looks better. So I'm pulling to the right, just a little bit at a time. Okay, so that's closer. And it's kind of, off to the right there. We'll fix that later if we need to. Okay, I'm going to save this. What are we on? 1437, track S1. First arrangement. I did hit save. We are waiting. We are waiting. I wonder if I have a text document for this. I do not. I always keep a text document for each puzzle where I make notes. This is small monomer design, track solo 1, and first arrangement saved. Okay. Still waiting for the save to happen. My game is talking to the server in very slow Pig Latin. Okay, while we're waiting, I'm going to go back. Oh, look, it saved. Well, anyway, we're not waiting anymore, but I'm still going to go back to my little stick figure. There it is. I just want to mention this particular design that I'm making today, including the lengths of the sheets and helixes and everything, is the same design that made it into the blog and that was crystallized and proved in the lab. So this is a design that has worked once. And I've only, I think, done it twice on design puzzles, so this will be my third time making this particular design. And I encourage you to give it a try, because each of us will come up with different amino acids that can make the design. It would be really cool if we came up with a whole family of gamer-designed proteins on this template that all get proven in the lab. I think it would be cool. You also, there are some folders who make the same design every week. They might make it, bigger or smaller, but they kind of use the same pattern, which is fine if that's what you enjoy doing. But there are also folders who say that they're bored. So if you're bored, I encourage you to do a new design every week. And the way I come up with new designs, I'll start with something basic like this ferredoxin, and I'll just change one thing about it. Like for this design, what I changed was leaving out the inner sheet. For a different design, you could leave the inner sheet in, take the outer sheet off. For a still different design, you could go to one of the ends, you could put in a U-turn here and add a fifth sheet right between those two. Or put a U-turn going the other way and add a fifth sheet between these two. Or put a U-turn here and add a fifth sheet. Or add a helix on the end. So start with something that's stable and maybe something that you've done before, and just add or subtract a piece to come up with a novel design that you haven't done before. I turn in something different every week, and I don't get bored. I mean, these are still what Foldit likes to call surfing hot dogs solutions, which is there's a wall of sheets and there's helixes on one side. But it's a different hot dog solution each time, excuse me. So if you're bored, by all means, make up some new designs that are based on designs that already work. Okay, enough about the sketch. I succeeded in saving, so I think it's time to shake and wiggle. I'm going to go back to hydrocolor because I've got the pieces sorted out. Okay, to bring up the view menu, again, it's not something you can see on your screen. Probably you could click on the green Foldit thing, which you can't see because my face is in front of it, and it would give you a way to get to the view menu, but in selection interface, the menus have hotkeys, so I just type V and the view menu appears. Type V again, it disappears. So that's a keyboard shortcut for a tool that you can't see because it's selection interface. The tools are hidden until you want them. No, they're hidden when you want them. You can only see them when you can use them. A design decision, not my decision. Okay, I'm ready to shake and wiggle. I always start at 20% clashing importance because I know in the beginning I'm going to have clashes. Let's go ahead and shake. Okay, let's see. I said I was going to use tools. So nothing is selected. There's only a few tools visible at the bottom. One of them is S, which is shake. So I can either click the button or I can use the S key, and that will shake everything. If I had part of the protein selected and I hit S, it would only shake the ones that were selected. So in selection interface, if you want to do everything, you have to make sure either everything's selected or nothing's selected. Okay. That looks like enough shaking. And I'm going to add some bands to hold the sheets together. let's see, in selection interface, rubber band is right-click drag. It's different from original interface. So right-click drag to add these rubber bands. Okay, the last two segments I don't bother to band because I have such a short loop up here that the loop is going to hold them together. And I think since these guys are far apart, let me turn on the side chains. Shift A turns side chains on, Shift D turns them off. Shift A, Shift D. I think I'm going to add a rubber band here to just try and pull this sheet, helix, pull this helix closer over there. Okay, we'll see how that goes. A note about the blueprint. So the blueprint has these white rectangles. Those are the building blocks. They're also called constraints that we dropped onto the protein. And right now, the constraints are trying to keep the loops in the shape that we chose. Just checking. Looks like I'm still online. Hope so. Stream quality excellent. Well, I hope that's true. Some people remove the constraints immediately. You definitely want to remove them at some point. I'm going to try removing them immediately before I wiggle. Some of the best folders do this. I normally leave them on through the first few wiggles and then take them off, but I'm going to try a new way today and take them off immediately. Okay, so now there's nothing holding my loops in their ideal position except the Foldit score. So hopefully that'll work out. And the other thing I want to do is freeze. Let me turn off side chains again, Shift D. I want to freeze the structures so they don't get pulled out of shape by this first wiggle, and I'm going to unfreeze the ends where they contact the loops to give those residues flexibility. Let's see, to freeze a structure in selection interface is a double right click. Right click freezes one segment or unfreezes one segment. Double right click freezes the whole structure, which is nice. There's not a tool for that in original interface that I can remember. I think there's not. Okay, freeze the structure and unfreeze the ends. Okay, my score is minus 39,000. If I were to wiggle now, the thing would blow apart because the score is so negative. So I'm going to lower the clashing importance to about 5% so it doesn't fly apart. And do a quick save. Set recent best. Let's see, do those appear on here anywhere? I guess I would have to open the undo menu. U is the hotkey for the undo menu. And then I would have the option to set recent best. That's one of the things on the undo menu. But I use the keyboard shortcut, which is Control-Shift-N to set recent best. Okay, I think I'm ready to wiggle. Here we go. Okay, score is still negative. So now the score is getting closer to 0. It's about minus 1,000 to minus 3,000. So I'm going to push the clashing importance up to 20%, which is what I normally work at in the beginning. Now I've got a positive score. Always a good sign. I'm not seeing hydrogen bonds between the sheets. That kind of makes me sad. Two possible reasons for that. I have full strength bands and I'm at low clashing importance, so the bands may be pulling these two sheets too close together to make hydrogen bonds. In the case of these two sheets, I think they are parallel, meaning they're running in the same direction, and they're frozen. The ideal sheet shape that Foldit gives us is ideal for anti-parallel sheets, sheets that run in different directions. It's not ideal for parallel sheets. So after I unfreeze these guys, there they are. They will or maybe before I unfreeze them, as evidenced by that, the hydrogen bonds can form. Okay, how are we doing? Are we stable? Still gaining. Well, not gaining much, mostly just going up and down. That's just long enough. I'm stopping. Okay, I want to restore recent best. If I wanted a button for it, I would have to open the undo menu again, which is U, but I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut, which is Control N. So that's the best score I got out of it, 5784. I'm going to save that. Sometimes I restore best before I save, sometimes I don't. Track 1, that was my first wiggle, and it was frozen. Make a note of that. Okay, let's unfreeze. To freeze everything or unfreeze everything is F. Let's see, where would you find that in the menus? I don't know where that is in the menus. Might be a tool you just can't see. Okay, I'm going to type F because I happen to know that's what I want. And then I'm going to stay at low clashing importance. Because these are now unfrozen, these full strength bands are strong enough to pull them out of shape, which I don't want. I have a little recipe that will make the bands weaker. I'm going to open the cookbook. How do you open the cookbook in selection interface? I don't know where you would click, but C is the hotkey for cookbook. Okay, band strength 0.5. So now they're all half strength bands. Okay, and I'm just going to shake and wiggle again. Let's see, I'm up in positive score. Ooh, I'm at rank 103. So exciting. So you guys are awful quiet. Either everyone got chased away. Aaron X says it's on the left for the cookbook. Well, in the original interface, it's on the left. In selection interface, I'm not sure where it is. Let me click on this. Yeah, okay. So I don't know if you can see it because my face is in the way, but there's a green folded icon down here in the lower left. And when you click on that, you get these options, which includes cookbook. Thank you, Aaron Eck. But again, I just use the keyboard shortcut, which is C. And you can also open the undo menu from here. Okay, so another place that tools are hidden in the selection interface, behind the green Foldit icon. How are we doing? That's plenty of shaking. Let's stop. And I'm going to do another quick save and set recent best and wiggle. So I'm thinking this stream is probably going to be broken up into lots of short videos because I had to keep stopping and restarting the stream because it was dropping for some reason. So I may be able to download those videos and then use some video editing software to splice them together. I'll have to see where they start and stop. Do they start and stop in a way that if I stuck them all together, they would make sense? I hope that's true, so I end up with a simple monomer design video that people can watch later. I'm not sure when I'll have time to do that editing, maybe not till next week, but I will look into it. Okay, that's enough wiggling. How do we do? We've got hydrogen bonds, that's good. The helixes are fairly close to the sheets, not super close. Looks good, and we're ready to mutate. Okay, what I showed you before was this M tool, which mutates the selected segments, and you choose which amino acids you want by hand. There's another mutate tool, this Y tool, which is, it mutates everything that's selected to whatever fold it thinks it should be. So M is a manual mutate, you pick the amino acids. Y is Foldit's mutate. Foldit picks the amino acids. So I'm not going to select anything. Oh, when you're in the selection interface, if you have something selected and you want to deselect everything, you can click on the background. That makes the selection go away. You also can hit the space bar, and that makes the selection go away. When I was new to selection interface, and this still happens, I've been using it for a long time now, but it still happens, I'll have something selected, I won't be thinking about it, I'll use wiggle or shake or something, and it's not doing anything because it's only operating on the one bit that I have selected. And eventually I figure it out, stop the wiggle, undo the wiggle, and hit spacebar or click on the background to get rid of the selection. And then the wiggle or the shake or whatever will operate on the whole protein. Okay, we're going to do Foldit's mutate, which is the Y icon. And it's going to change everything on the outside to blue, and we'll see how many of the inner ones it keeps at orange. It decides based on how well hidden they are, whether they should be blue or orange. Let's see, I'm done with the Rama map. And I have a whirly mouse. Foldit has stopped working. Okay, I crashed the game. This is my most successful stream ever. Not. Okay, close the program. Sigh. Try again. Foldit is starting somewhere, but not where I can see it. There it is. Logging in is taking a long time because why? Who knows? And small monomer design. Okay. Mike tells me that since the latest start of the stream, I'm doing okay. That's good. Glad something's going right. Okay, here's my track, and it's at 7194. So I will assume, let me look at the scoreboard. Is this the best that I got out of my last wiggle? Because I hadn't saved yet. Now, my last wiggle got me up to 7243. So if I restore credit best, oh look, here's the undo menu. Restore credit best gets me to 7243, which is what the scoreboard shows. So this is the best that I got out of my last wiggle. Okay, I'm going to save that. And that was the second wiggle, and it was unfrozen. Oh, you know, the 7243 might have been during the mutate. Hard to know. Well, we'll never know now, so that's okay. I wonder why it crashed. We always wonder, but most of the time you can't tell. That was in the middle of a mutate all. That's not the time that I normally crash. I have heard other people complain they crash during mutate. How are we doing on time? It's been about an hour. I think I'm going to plan to go for about 10 or 15 more minutes and then draw the stream to a close. Are there any questions while we're waiting for the Foldit server to save my design? You guys are so quiet. You must be mesmerized. That's it, I'm sure. Okay, it's saved, and we were, well, no, this hasn't been mutated at all. Look, it's all still orange. So that was the result of the wiggle and not the mutate. Okay, make sure nothing's selected and click on Y for mutate. Oh, I seem to be at full clashing importance. Let me go back down to 20%. Rank up. Yay. Lots of rank ups. So what I want to see, those little dots are distracting. Let me turn those off. Bondable atoms, okay. What I want to see after the mutate is done, I want the sheets to alternate blue and orange as much as possible. I want all the ones that point in to be orange and all the ones that point out to be blue. There's a few exceptions to that. If I see any blue pointing in, I'm going to manually change them back to orange. Let me show you the sketch again. Where's that sketch? Okay. The helixes in my sketches always go from upper left to lower right. Anytime you have a sheet, helix, sheet, and the helixes, by the way, are closer to us. They're in the front of this picture. Anywhere you have a sheet, helix, sheet, proteins have a strong preference for that to be a capital N shape and not a backwards N shape. So they like the helixes to go from upper left to lower right. Now, once you start shaking and wiggling your protein, the helixes may end up parallel to the sheets. They may even end up slanted a little bit the other way, but their attachment points should be in the upper left and the lower right. One reason I really like sheet, helix, sheet motifs is that I think they add stability to the protein and prevent it from folding up some other way, because proteins have this strong preference for that motif to go in a certain direction and not go in the other direction. Okay, enough with the sketch. So my helixes, well, this one's not attached at the top, but it's attached at the lower right. This one's attached at the upper left and lower right. And that means that the upper right and the lower left of the sheets don't have loops holding them close to the helix. And because of the way sheets are shaped in nature, they have a tendency to sort of roll outward a little bit. This ideal loop even encourages that corner to roll out away from the helix. So I often will allow one inward-facing side chain in the upper right and one in the lower left to stay blue because they are exposed, they're not hidden by the helixes, and it would be a kind of a losing battle to try and make them be orange. Mike says y'all are afraid that chat will panic Foldit. Right, if you chat in Twitch, Foldit will know and it will crash in fear. It could happen. Okay, I think that's enough mutating. So other than those two corners I mentioned, my sheets are all alternating blue and orange, which is what I want. My helixes, I want orange on every turn. So in this one, every turn has one orange. Often some of them will have two. On this one, these three have orange. This is an entire turn with no orange. I don't like that because if they were to make this protein in the lab, this last part of the helix would not probably form a helix. It would just be a floppy loop because there's no orange trying to be hidden that would motivate it to be a helix, if that makes any sense. I'm going to open up the filters and go down to the core existence filter and click show. And Foldit is showing me all the ones that are blue now are unhidden, unburied. So they should probably be blue. All the ones that are orange are nicely buried. They're part of the core and they should stay orange when I turn off the filter. and the green ones are kind of borderline. So this guy is sort of partially hidden. He's not currently being counted as part of the core, so he's not helping me have a core bonus. But if I did a little work on him, he could be hidden because he's not very far from being hidden. That's what green means, almost hidden, almost core. Okay, so let me flip this on and off a little. There's off. So in this all blue loop of the helix, all blue turn, this guy right here looks like he is sort of towards the inside, but mutate made him blue. When I turn on the core filter says, yes, that's part of the core. It's hidden. So I'm going to manually change it to orange. I have a little script that just tries, what's it called? AA for amino acid, hydrophobe selected. It just tries 4 different hydrophobics and keeps the best scoring one. So the best scoring one, let me hit tab, was a valine. Okay. Probably because it's a little crowded in there. It didn't want something bigger like a leucine. Okay, so now I have an orange in each turn of my helix. And the last thing I want to look at is the inward-facing residues in the loops. This one's inward-facing. Foldit chose alanine, which is orange, which is fine. Alanine is small, and that's a crowded place. So that's why it chose alanine. Until they made alanine profitable in the score function just a few months ago, Foldit would never choose alanine, and it would put a serine in there, which is blue, because that was the smallest thing it was allowed to use. So they got a lot of solutions with serines pointed inward, which doesn't have to be bad, but it's often bad. So I would manually change mine to alanine. Maybe that's what gave them the idea. Who knows? Anyway, it chose alanine for that facing inward. For this one, which faces inward, this is 38 glycine. I guess it decided that it's so crowded in that spot that even an alanine wouldn't fit. And so it put a glycine. I would prefer not to have a glycine there, because the glycine, even though it's colored orange in Foldit, it doesn't really help pull that residue in towards the core very much. Alanine doesn't help a lot because it's only got a little bit of side chain, but I think it's better than nothing. This is not based on science, this is my intuition. But I'm going to change that glycine to an alanine. Click mutate, choose alanine. That will make the score go down a little bit probably, but it means that Foldit will try and open up enough space there to fit an alanine. So maybe it'll stay alanine as my scripts run. If I leave it at glycine, Foldit has no motivation to try and open up any space there because there's no side chain trying to find room. Okay, and on this other loop, we have glycine facing out, which is, that's there because it's green in the ROMA map. And this one, you remember I said would face sort of sideways and into the core. And this one's facing nicely inward. It's not facing over and crashing into its neighbor, which is what sometimes happens with this particular loop. Okay, so I'm happy now with all the side chains. I manually changed one of them, I believe. You know, depending on the design, sometimes I end up manually changing a lot of them. Okay, so I've been at 20% clashing importance. That keeps all the pieces closer together than they would naturally be. I'm going to move up to 50%, which is sort of a compromise. It lets them move a little further apart, so they're a little more natural, but it still maintains some flexibility, in my opinion, versus running at full clashing importance. Some people never work at low CI and they beat me regularly, so you know, there's nothing magic about this method. It's just the one I learned, and I'm sticking with it. Okay, so at 50%, I'm going to shake and then wiggle. What's our time look like? A little more than an hour. Galaxy says, yes, you are mesmerized by my stream. I'm sure that's it. Okay, that's enough shaking, and I'm going to set recent best and wiggle. Again, I'm at 50% clashing importance now. Oh, and so I said I was going to use the tools. Wiggle is down here in the corner. You maybe can't see it because it's behind my face, but it's down there in the corner. Normally I use the hotkey, which is W. Getting some more rank ups. I'd like to see that. Looking at this core filter, right now I'm at -75, which means, so it varies from puzzle to puzzle. On the current round of puzzles, I think it's 25 points per residue that you're missing from the core. So now I'm at -100, so I have 4 too few residues in the core. If I could get 4 more in there, I would get a bonus instead of a penalty. And being short on core is a risk for this particular design, in part because the way these ideal loops work, both the bottom side chain and the top side chain on the sheets face outward. And that means each sheet has 4 facing outward and only 3 facing inward. So it has a lower proportion of inward facing side chains. So it's possible to end up with not enough core on this design, and I'm going to have to probably use some rubber bands to try and force some more core. Some of the loops, you could pick a different loop and you would have the end side chain facing in instead of out. Some of them, there's no loop that can go there that will face the inner side chain in. But given the ones that I use preferentially, I end up with my sheets being 4 to 3 out to in when they're 7 long, or 5 to 4 if they're 9 long, whatever. Okay, are we done? We're done wiggling. Plenty done. Okay, restore recent best, and let me save that. Okay, so what did I do? I mutated at 0.2, I fixed things by hand, and I wiggled at 0.5. Write that down. And we're waiting on the save. So why do I fix things manually? You certainly could let Foldit make all the decisions about the amino acids, and if you do that, you might well beat me. I'm not, I get top 10 finishes now and then in design, but I do typically get beat by several people. But I fix things manually because my goal, the thing that motivates me for Foldit is I really want to make a design that's very likely to fold up, even if it's not the top scoring design. So I manually fix amino acids with that goal in mind. And if I were to leave, like just as a for instance, if this amino acid had been set blue by Foldit, let's say it put an asparagine in there, and I left it that way, then every time I wiggle, Foldit's going to try to turn the sheet a little bit so that that blue one gets more exposed. And the longer that goes on, the less likely that an orange one would ever get picked for that spot. It's kind of a feedback loop. If you leave a blue one in a space that could be orange, Foldit will make that position better for blue and worse for orange every time you wiggle. So I want to set it to orange, especially now, early in the puzzle, so that Foldit will keep it turned inward and maybe even turn it a little more inward when it wiggles, rather than turning it outward because it's blue. So, towards the end of the puzzle, I let Foldit have more leeway about what it chooses, but early in the puzzle, I want to make sure that these positions are occupied by orange ones. Okay, so I think I'm going to bring the stream to a close. Let me see what's going on in chat. Sock says, what you got here, Suze? I wonder how much the dev team rebalances scoring and wiggling algorithms. And I thought conventional gaming balance was hard. Yeah, when they rebalance the game, I think they have to actually have scientific data to justify the rebalancing. So they have to get enough result. I mean, maybe sometimes they do it on intuition, like they look at a few results and say, oh, this seems to be encouraging the players to do X, and we would rather they do Y. Let's try tweaking this value. You know, that's how I would do it, but I'm not actually a scientist. So I think they actually want to collect enough data that they can justify making the change that they're making. So yeah, that's, maybe game developers do that too, I don't know. Every now and then they do rebalance something. They don't rebalance the score function itself much. I think that's kind of more owned by the Rosetta people, but they will change some things, like there's a reference weight for each amino acid. Let me tab on this one. It's got all these subscores: clashing, -4, packing, 37. And, oh, there's no reference weight on this one. Usually there's one called reference, and it's just a bonus or a penalty for using that amino acid. It doesn't pay attention to where you use it. It's just using it in the puzzle. You get a bonus or penalty to balance out, I guess, how many of them there are. So they do change that occasionally. I think that might be what they changed when they tried to make prolines more common. That's definitely what they changed to make this alanine more common. Alanine now has a reference of -3.9. It used to have a reference of like -15 points on alanine. I guess they didn't want them in our design puzzles. And Foldit would never, ever choose an alanine for any position in the design puzzle. And then at some point they decided, well, maybe in the loops, alanine would be okay. And they lowered the reference penalty from 15 to not quite 4. And that makes alanine sometimes get chosen by Foldit. And then sometimes they change the filter amounts too. Like for the core existence, I think it used to be 50 points for each one that you were lacking. Now it's 25 points for each one that you're lacking. And the bonus for getting enough of them was like 150, and now it's 50. So they've softened the penalty and bonus on the core filter, I guess to try and make the score jump around less because people were complaining. So yeah, it's there's a lot of thought that goes into rebalancing things. Okay, I think I'm going to bring the stream to a close. So we started from an extended chain, and I used my sketch. Let me show you my beautiful sketch again. Ooh, I used my sketch where I started from a Ferredoxin design. I left one of the sheets out to make this design, and that's what I worked from in assigning my sheets and helixes and loops. I used the blueprint tool. Remember to grab the ideal loops and drop them on the sequence to make my loops. I used the Rama map, I restarted the game, so Rama map is small again. I have to make it really big so that I can grab the dots and drag them around. You remember I chose some of the loop segments to be hinges, and I figured out which way I wanted to rotate the different pieces, clockwise or counterclockwise, and I carefully dragged the Rama dot. Like if I were using this loop segment, the Rama dot, when this is selected, the dot lights up white, and I could drag it a little bit in different directions and see if that makes my protein better or worse. I'm not looking at the score, I'm just looking at the shape of the protein. Is it turning the piece I want to move in the direction I want to go? Okay, and then we did some banding, freezing, first shake and wiggle, unfroze, made the bands weaker, more shake and wiggle, and started in on the mutating. And I did take, let me open Blueprint, I did take the rectangles off the Blueprint as soon as I was done using them, before I even wiggled anything. So there you have it. I'm up to rank 33. I'm still at clashing importance 50%. When I go up to clashing importance 100%, my score will definitely go up because the protein will be less crowded. So that's a nice start. And I encourage you to try similar designs, especially if you're getting bored. Come up with something new. Do something new every week. Any other questions before I go? Nice fold. Thank you. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you all for watching. I'm glad to have you here. I'm really glad to see you in the chat. I'm sorry that the stream kept going up and down. I know that's very disruptive, and I don't know why it happened. I will consult my Twitch experts and see if they have any ideas. Maybe it won't do that next time. Okay, thanks for watching. This is Susumi. Bye now.